expansive champion pools. Like some of our players in this game do definitely have. Let's have a look at how it goes, though, as we dive into Champion Select for our first game of the series. And it feels like Xin Zhao has hit permaban status at this point. It feels like it's now Vi Xin. The Kalista ban, not quite as necessary. The Gwen ban, not quite as necessary. I think Xin really has moved up.
As players have gotten better as Xin Zhao, he's just got so much skirmishing power while also maintaining team fight power, because his ult just gives you so much space. You get so much healing off the Sundered Sky. Vi is also, another champion with a lot of skirmishing power, but the ult translates really well in the team fights, and I think that's why these two need to be taken off the cards. The Fury getting banned away, obviously a pick that has a good amount of value. The Talia going, setting up the Azir priority. Will GENG buy into it or go in a bit of a different direction?
Okay, so I mentioned these solo queue games. It was actually the third most recent one that Chovy played Diana. In between a Sylas victory and that Diana victory, there was an Azir loss. So maybe Chovy's like, nah, this champion's bad. So they're going to lock in Pantheon. And I actually love this. This is a beautiful pivot that I was kind of hoping D+ would move towards, right? And that is prioritize the next tier of jungler, because it feels like outside of the Vi, Xin Zhao, and Pantheon, there aren't as many good aggressive high damage junglers that you have access to, as B&K are going to take some pretty big ticket picks on the other end, but we'll see what the answer is going to be here from GENG.
I think you could just go for the Rumble in this situation for Keen. You can be pretty happy with that one into the Gwen. Could also go for the Jace. In terms of mid lane, assuming you want to secure that, Ahri definitely an option. We saw this exact matchup played earlier today.
Yep.
And she's still the highest prio mid laner in terms of picks in the LCK. Obviously, Azir getting a decent amount of bans as well.
Yeah, see what the last pick is going to be here. Jace going to be what they opt into. Keen, fantastic Jace player, makes a whole lot of sense and can really bully the Gwen, as we've seen many times before.
So I think options here, either take an AD carry in this situation, and then you can ban away AD carries, and you get that priority in the pick if there's something that really stands out to you, or just secure the trade in junglers. If there's a jungler you really have your eye on that you want to secure now, some of the junglers still available are picks like Wukong, Lilius, Sejuani, but they opt to go for the AD carry angle, so they pick the Ezreal. Ezreal very often banned in the second rotation. I feel like that's most often where we see him taken off the card, so they'll pick that one up. Looking to ban away the Jhin. Now, for the side of GENG, if there's more junglers you want to ban, you absolutely can. If you're not really worried because there's so many open and available, you could look to ban away like that Alistar we often see on 4.
I actually kind of think Wukong, Alistar are kind of the best bans in my brain.
The only one you could potentially add to that, maybe the Braum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see BFX having a pretty good comp. If you went like Sejuani Braum, if GENG end up picking something that the Braum does well into, it could be a pretty strong draft. But it's going to be MF and the Jhin being banned away in this situation. Those longer range prio picks. There is still the Ashe available for Rula, which he is no stranger to.
Nope. I think Rula's got a few things that he can play at this point in time.
Well, not Ziggs. Not really a mage player, but...
Oh, that is a very good point. He was not the awesome dude guy.
Yeah.
He was not into that. He was not Viper during that particular run of play. But we don't have that anymore. No more of that funny business. No one's playing Mel. You know, it's not happening.
Definitely conscious about the potential of the counter pick. Now, this is a choice. You can either go Alistar on 4 here, which we've seen very often. Kellen is fantastic at Alistar, but it does mean that you're face up with your bot lane, and you're not really getting much value from this jungle counter pick when you've already seen the jungle anyway. They end up going for the Wukong, which you did talk about, and that does mean they're saving that support counter pick for Kellen.
Yeah.
Now for GENG.
Well, I mean, they're going to pick Alistar something. Because Duro is a phenomenal Alistar player, and so you may as well. That's sort of my thinking.
Well, is it maybe a Zyra Khan?
Yeah, it could be Zyra Khan instead.
I feel like Rakan is a little harder to counter than some of the other melee supports because Braum is not a good matchup into him. And even the range support matchups, he's got so much healing on his Q now that it's actually kind of difficult to really put the pressure on in lane, especially when Karma's already taken off the card. So I think this might just end up being an Alistar for Kellen.
Yeah, it's either Alistar or they pick the Poppy. To really try and make his life worse. But instead it's Leona.
I'm not so much of a fan of this. I think when Alistar and Poppy are available, I think those are options you can lean towards. It is fearless, so maybe the thought process is you want to save those for later, but I think against GENG, they're not really a save it for later team. It's a we need everything we can to win this game.
Yep. Or wait, no. The other option is like get this game out of the way because we're on red side. Then on blue side, that's when we pick all of the cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking, but I don't know. I think...
No, I think you're right.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think top matchup favored towards Keen with the Jace into that Gwen, but, you know, they have the Azir in the mid lane, which is obviously a high-prior pick. I think bot lane, Ezreal Leona is a strong 2v2. I think the draft, I think both teams fairly happy with how they've been able to navigate this one. No massive advantages on either side, which... As much as that sounds like, okay, so it's an even game, when you're against GENG, sometimes you want to go in with a big draft advantage to kind of even the playing field. So still looking favored towards them, but we'll see what BNK FearX can do with what they've brought for themselves. They definitely haven't fumbled yet, is the key thing.
Well, exactly, because we haven't actually loaded onto the Rift just yet. I think you're right. I think it's so hard, right? Because you look at it and you're like, oh, decent draft on both sides. Sorry, BNK, not good enough. Because that's the expectation, is that in an even game state, GENG is just gonna win.
Yep.
And if we have a look at it, I mean, there is a lot of teamfight potential with this composition, right? There is the Gwen for side lane power as well. High tier list champions. See whether they can make them work, though, as we jump onto the Rift.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift. The first game of our final series of the evening. And we'll see who's going to be able to draw first blood. See whether GENG are going to once again drop a game to BNK FearX. This is a team that may actually have that extra layer of confidence because they've done it before. Just one time. They just need to do them, you know, more consistently.
And really, that
they'll win a series.
That period for the team was the team where the period where they sort of had no fear. It didn't matter what team they were facing; they kind of played their game.
They were FearX.
Correct.
Yeah.
100%. It's spot on.
Yeah.
And so as a result, it kind of felt like even going up against a titan like GENG, they were like, let's just play our game, let's do what we can, and they were able to take that game off them. I feel like the BNK FearX we've seen recently, a little bit more shaken. So hopefully, even though the expectation is GENG are very favored in this matchup, we can see a bit more light.
Yeah,
I've seen in some of the recent matches.
Although he's on DNF. We're just hoping more stirred gameplay, not the shaken gameplay. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
If we were to use a Martina reference. As Chovy will get control of this wave. Vikla has been up and down, to say the least. That's looking like a bit of a down type situation there, as, of course, Electrocute on the Ahri makes things a little bit difficult. Otherwise, not too much of an issue. Ruler 3-0 on the Xayah. I remember there was a tournament that he did pretty well in. I think it was 2017, where Xayah was really, really strong.
Yeah.
Do you want to see Duro build an Ardent Sensor just for old time's sake? What do you think?
Kind of based.
Yeah, it would be. As Chovy, now level 2. Look for a bit of an angle here. Oh my goodness. Every time that Electrocutes back up again, Vikla's like, where's the counterplay?
You know, there's definitely a thing, right, where there is fans who watch specifically their favorite team and don't watch every game.
Yep.
Completely fine. But if you're a GENG fan and you only watch GENG's game, your understanding of mid lane matchups must be so skewed. Wait, Ahri just stomps?
It'd probably make you worse at solo queue.
Yeah, because, you know, we've seen a lot of Ahri into Azir.
Yeah.
You normally don't get bullied out this much this early.
And I actually, like, I remember there's a few examples of Chovy just doing, like, weird stuff. Like, level 2 Orianna, he just walked down Showmaker's Azir and just killed him.
Yeah.
Like, in lane.
Yeah.
Just 1v1. And he just died.
It's just kind of insane, especially when, you know, Vikla is a really good player. And it's hard to understand that when you see him getting bullied by this. And it's also insane that, like, even at the top level, you can develop this much of a gap this quickly. Yep. In a matchup that shouldn't be this favored. So Chovy just kind of doing Chovy things right now in the laning phase.
Yep. We have to remember we redefined what Chovying means. Chovying means just doing anything good ever. It used to be farming all the time, but now it's like if you do like a thing that's good, that's Chovying.
Yeah.
That's sort of what he's become now, which is just a little bit ridiculous. As, okay, Canyon making his way in, and Vikla is getting out.
The thing is, even though he doesn't die, so much time is wasted for Vikla
I think he's out of experience range as well.
Yeah, so, you know, the lane was already going in a little bit of a rough state. He will be able to TP back in here, but like that sort of gank is the one where he lives, but it's just frustrating to have to deal with that on top of an already rough lane state.
Yeah. This wave getting stacked up here as well. Roller and Duro dashing around, having a good time. As Chovy will go for his reset now as well. The CS difference about 11 in that mid lane. Already a 230 gold gap between the two at 4.5 minutes. Like you say, doesn't really bode so well, but it's mainly a testament to how well Chovy has been laning. As Duro going to answer the engage from Kellen really nicely here with that grand entrance, and Kellen just trying to escape. Diablo now finds himself alone, but this is the power of the Lovers duo in the early stages of the game.
It's also really well played by Duro because the instinct when the support engages onto AD carry is to stop the enemy AD carry doing damage.
Yep.
If you ever try and W onto Ezreal, he can just shift over it and suddenly you're in a really bad spot. So instead knocks up Leona, buys some time for Ruler. Ruler starts to build up some damage with the feathers, and just doesn't really allow any pressure to come through onto his AD carry.
Nicely done. As Duro will discover Kellen here, who is just looking to try and get some vision down, isn't actually able to do so. As everything coming up GENG in this early game. Of course, it hasn't translated to a big gold advantage, but the problem is what this is going to mean for the future and how things are going. Because right now, Chovy very happy on this top side, sorry, in this mid lane, and Keen is pretty far ahead in top as well.
Yeah, he's level 6 already here, so if Vikla takes a bad trade or two, could be in a dangerous spot. He is close to level 6 himself, but...
Well, Chovy looking for that angle here as he throws out the Orb of Deception. I think Vikla in another couple of minions should be able to get there. So when this wave dies, he should be level 6 himself. Void Grub's not up just yet, still 2 minutes away from those. Still getting used to this timing, because as you could see, like obviously this is exactly when they would spawn, had to be the first ones. But now 8 minutes, so going to be a little bit different. Dragon is up, going to be a cloud to start us off, but no one's really interested in that, as Duro able to play pretty far up because he's Rakan. And Raptor going to be able to grab a crab, so that's not bad.
Yeah, and honestly, GENG could have really hard forced this, and they had Prio in the mid lane that could have led to them contesting this, but I just don't think they're that bothered. BFX using the pressure to secure that Scuttle Crab. Just one of those little advantages you're looking to get. Yep.
Oh, Ruler got the Dream back as well. Able to pick up the F-Sword as he goes back home first.
To be fair, Sheen tier is pretty great for Ezreal as well.
That's true, but Sheen tier would be worse for Xayah.
Yes, that wouldn't be a great back for the Xayah.
Yeah. See, there we go. I figured it out. So, Duro and Ruler back in lane together. Kellen going to be moving on over here as well. And so the good news for BNK is that nothing has gone too wrong just yet. You know, outside of mid lane, it's like just general existence. Things are just kind of okay. And for a Wukong team, that feels all right. You know, he's level 5, wanting to get towards that level 6 mark as Diablo at least manages to proc a W, but we didn't really notice it because Duro was right there. So BNK still getting pushed in underneath this turret towards the bottom side. Extra vision, extra control being built up as Ruler puts a control ward down around this dragon. And it looks like now GENG might be considering heading towards that particular objective. As True Shot Barrage, 6 points. All in my country anyway. And Chovy finally taking some damage here against Vikla, who does hit that level 7.
Yeah, Vikla kind of holding his own a bit better. Now he's got some more points in his W. Still down in farm, though, from the earlier laning. But gap's not getting bigger.
No, that's the positive. The gap in gold kind of is, but nothing else really to worry about. And now the grubs have spawned. So, can Raptor get in here and steal something away, as Canyon has started this one up immediately? And Chovy going to look to come in. Vikla going to chase him down, though. Spirit Rush now on cooldown, but Vikla may just be dead because he moved in. So he's going to have to flash. And so now there is no way for BNK to really contest these grubs unless Raptor does something very sneaky. Comes in maybe a little early, though, as the stun comes down. That is going to be all 3 of the grubs going on over to Canyon. And Raptor just has to Warrior Trickster his way over the wall. Everything coming up GENG.
Yeah, both Vikla and Raptor looking for opportunities to punish there, and both of them kind of fail, unfortunately. Chovy used his charm on the wave to finish the last minion, so Vikla's like, okay, go time.
Speaking of go time, Oh no, he doesn't make it over. He doesn't make it over, and the Orb of Deception is just going to kill him. Canyon takes a couple of turret shots, but is otherwise A-okay. And the woes for Vikla are not exactly going away.
Yeah, the lack of flash there being a big punish. And also Chovy on that first back he got bought a Dark Seal. 2 stacks in the pocket means his kill means just a little bit more.
Oh no.
As a
well,
result.
he's going to go back now, and let's see whether it's like full shoes maybe put together. He's 21 CS now in the lead. Teleport back in for Vikla, though, is going to help him at least to try and even things out as best he can. But a 700 gold lead in just the mid lane right now is, yeah, I feel I can. You know how Chovy's on 700 POG points? Sorry, POM points? I feel like he might be. He's making a case for the 800. Let's just say that.
He absolutely is. But a good start. And that's the thing, is that it's just small things that don't seem like, you know, like those little trades early with the electrocute. In a lot of situations, you know, these mistakes happen all the time in solo queue, even in competitive games. But it's just like the twisting of the knife that GENG does so well. You know, Vikla sees a window to punish Chovy, but in reality, Chovy punishes him in return. And then the ult comes down from Canyon to capitalize. Yeah. And it just feels like everything's coming together.
The immediate trigger pull as well by Canyon, absolutely fantastic. As Diablo and Ruler going to face off. Ruler really wanted to deny that W damage.
Raptor did get the grub earlier.
Oh, he did? Oh, never mind.
I don't know why it looked like...
It really looked like Canyon got it.
Yeah, but... Okay, Raptor did... Okay, fair. You know, it's all looking good. For BNK, they got the grub.
Yeah. That does mean that they deny, like, the full grubs, but they don't deny the objective, so that is still there for GENG. And being able to pick up a kill, also important moving towards the feats of strength. We know that they're not exactly going to be end of the world. Feats of strength don't go over, and Vikla just got a cannon. So there is that. Actually finds some priority here in this mid lane as well. So BNK utilizing that to move down towards this dragon. And they are going to start it. Full vision available here for GENG with that control ward in the back of the pit. And Canyon right over here. Teleport in.
Chovy just got Malignance. Massive.
Oh my god, that's a huge... 11 minutes? Oh yeah, we getting out of here. As now Chovy looking to see where he can use this cool new item. True Shot Barrage once again. That's actually 1 point. As Solar Flare not going to quite get the stuns. A little bit slower as, oh dear, the Wukong not exactly doing too much. The Drake going on over to Canyon there as well, as Kellen going to have to flash to get himself out of the way. No more stun available, and Kellen with the fadeaway ignite goes in. But Chovy, I think, is going to be able to get a little bit of value from his Malignance. 2-0-1 now on the Ahri. And GENG, not yet. You just can't take that dragon away from them.
I mean, the value... Oh,
okay, Clear going for a little bit of a tussle against Keen here. He's underneath his turret, so he's not going to be dying as a response, but now doesn't have the needlework.
We are seeing the Rod of Ages Gwen gaining some popularity.
Yeah.
You know, we saw Zeus tough with that one. He did win the game, but it was a little goofy. But yeah, I think the thing is, the item spike is so relevant because you get the magic resist shred for the Malignance, and it's a flat shred. It's 15, right? And so it's most valuable early in the game. When you have it this early, it's doing so much, and the burn as well. There's just no way you can opt into this. As soon as you see Chovy resetting and you think he might have the gold for the item, all bets are off.
Yep. And Duro played that so well. But we're going to have a look towards his top side as Clear is underneath his turret. Did have his mist for a little while, but Canyon, he charges up the queue. He takes down the Gwen, and it's now 4-0. And GENG, should we really be doing it? It's perfect game pace, ladies and gentlemen. 1 grub, don't care, okay? I've said this before, I don't care. If BNK FearX are able to take down this turret, that is going to stop any sort of perfect game. But is it too early to be talking about, well, now we just need to deny the perfect game? Because this is looking really, really difficult for BNK.
Well,
a 4,000 gold lead is ridiculous. As Solar Flare comes down, in goes Duro. True Shot Barrage this time will tag Ruler, but they're not really able to do too much with that initial salvo. And GENG just happy to stand their ground. Diablo is very healthy, but maybe not for long, because there is a Canyon moving in. Spotted on a control ward, so BNK can now move away. As Charm is going to go wide. Chovy's human.
How many times has he procced Electrocute now? I feel like every time we look at mid, he's proccing Electrocute.
Probably a lot. I imagine Yundo can find that stat for us. Yes. That's exactly what Ji-sun just said. Yes. That's how many times he's procced Electrocute.
Yeah, I mean, this was slick. The fadeaway spear with
Beautiful.
that execute damage.
Oh, is it a Canyon Palm day? That'd be kind of nice, wouldn't it?
They're competing with each other, you know.
I mean,
That's what, you know, I'm going to say, you're talking about the perfect game thing, right?
Yeah.
Some people would argue the one grub makes another perfect game. I would disagree. But some people would argue that. But I feel like more so, sometimes these Gen G games come down to a battle of who is going to get POM.
Oh, yeah.
And right now, Chovy and Canyon competing, maybe a bit
Roller's
of
just
Duro.
skating perpetually. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I love it when bugs like that happen. Look at him go. Skating.
What was the really funny one that happened one time in like a high-profile game? Oh, it was Draven.
What happened to him?
It was Draven, and I think it was Draven, and it was Dig in the LCS, and it was what was the Dig bot lane, the OG one?
I'm a cutie pie.
Yes, it was I'm a Cutie Pie on Draven, and he was just like sliding with his axe. It was iconic.
That's so rad.
It was so him.
Well, Ruler is able to get out of the way of everything. Okay. That's a little bit unfortunate there for Kellen and Diablo, because he just sidesteps the entirety of Leona's kit.
Yeah, I mean, he had ult as well, so it's one of these things where you have the tools to evade those, but when you don't even force them, it feels bad. Like, I don't think Kellen was expecting the kill, but he was hoping for a bit more. Now, TP coming in.
Yeah, we are trying to get in there. Featherstorm going to get out of the way of Kellen. Remember, there's no solar flare, and the pullback on the Feathers should mean that Leona has to at least get out. Teleport comes in from the Arias. Chovy could be in a little bit of trouble. The fadeaway charm is good, but Clear is threatening.
Chovy
has pulled back.
Chovy has no ultimate, so it's a big power loss right now.
Yeah, they're just trying to reset this Rift Herald, so BNK has to take that one down themselves. Remember, BNK, they started the initial teleport in, but GENG just move away from the Rift Herald and are now looking to try and catch someone in transition or take down this inner turret towards the top side. Even Duro's coming in. Man, if Clear is just going to take the shortest way in, it's going to be a difficult time. There's no vision to spot where the Gwen is until he gets towards the turret, and he takes the safer route, and that is certainly good news. Oh, Yundo just manually counted out that the damage dealt by Electrocute is 609.
And there was... Eight times. I feel like we saw all 8 of those on screen.
Yeah, it's actually pretty impressive observing here from Kisan and, of course, Jonas Strong to really show the amount of electrocution that's been going on this game.
I think talking about that last setup, I think it's just kind of an indication of the difference between Gen G and some of our weaker teams in the league, because they backed off from the play. And I feel like I've seen teams in our league hundreds of times commit to that fight and lose it.
This is the death of the perfect game. If BNK are able to take this Ocean Drake. No, they don't.
Yeah, and I think this is why it's frustrating, you know. You have a scenario where Kellen was low HP, Gen G, if they dove into it and committed to the kill, probably would have died. They just let it go. They're like, Kellen's low, it's fine.
Yep.
This is enough. Chovy doesn't have ult, so like, okay, let's just back off. No one ends up taking the Herald initially, and then Gen G come back for it later. And it's this discipline and patience, I feel, that really separates them and makes it so frustrating to play against them, because it's like BNK Fearx are trying to goad them into a mistake, and they just refuse to make it.
Yep. And they know that it's on BNK to take the risks. It's not on them. They already just naturally have massive leads. BNK are going to start off this Drake once again, though. Grand Starfall is up and available. The Canyon is just right here. Diablo moving in. Ruler on an awkward spot, but Keen, he's looking for some Shock Blast. He finds the middle there. That's 6 points. Is now clear. Looking for Chovy in the back line. And it is going to be Drake secured by BNK. So, no more perfect game. GENG not going to need to play as reserved anymore. So they throw down the Rift Herald, looking to see whether they can get some meaningful damage towards this outer turret. See whether that does indeed happen. Shock Blast not quite connecting. Duro looking for an angle, perhaps, as in goes Kellen. But he's blowing up. Oh my goodness, the damage is absurd. And there's a knock up on Vikler as well. He finds the Empress Divide, but it hits no one. It does nothing, and Duro's just out of there. The stun comes down, but it's onto the clone. Keen now looking to see what he can get done, and that Shock Blast at point blank is so scary to the skies. But it's so much picking of the gap here between two members. But GENG not able to get too much more off the back end of that play. Some good defensive moves there by BNK, but still, it's not enough to make it a positive trade.
It's unfortunate because Canyon as a target, you know, survives for a surprisingly long time thanks to the fact he's on Pantheon. Does manage to get that flash out, and Duro buys him space. And then there's Shuffle. doesn't get the value they hoped for. Duro gets away on no health, and then Diablo's trying to do what he can, trying to land these Mystic shots. But you're being charged at by this intimidating Pantheon and Jace. Just limited options in this situation. And I think part of the reason this Pantheon's so strong is, you know, you think of Pantheon as one of these squishier champions, like the old Pantheon used to be.
Yeah.
But between his E giving him so much survivability, the W to buy some space with the CC, but also the Sundered Sky. I think it's another reason why Xin Zhao's been so strong. You get repeated procs in a fight, and it generates so much health while you're pumping out so much damage.
And you also have so much mitigation that you can decide when to use as well. So it just gives you a lot more flexibility in order to utilize that item at the same time. 100% agree with you. I think both of these champs have been very, very strong. As we've had demonstrated all season long by players like Ono. Canyon here also looking great. 1.6k in the lead as well for the Pantheon, as Keen could be in a little bit of trouble. There's a teleport coming in. To the skies goes the Jace, and he's able to actually trade really, really nicely here. Still has a turret, of course, as Vikla.
Nice flash.
Just, yeah. The flash is going to be up, so it's not a bad ulti there from Vikla, but unfortunately with that summoner spell, Keen is able to mitigate it. Still, it was perfectly flashed, but now Grand Starfall comes in, stun down onto Clear, will get his flash as well. GENG, that's a lot of summon spells on BNK's side down. GENG might want to go for this Arakan.
They could potentially, after this tower, you know, they did a good amount of damage to BNK VFX. I think that's the difference, right? Flash bid on both sides, but the resources invested by BNK VFX and the health bars lowered a lot more significant.
Yeah, not to mention the coffers are just a little bit fuller on the side of GENG, as they have a 5,000 gold lead, close to 6 already. Now they're going to augment that with a bunch of stacks and fun stuff there.
You know, it's really cool. Sorry, I should have said this beforehand because you missed it now. But whenever the Arakan is taken, if you look at the overlay, you know the purple bars?
Yeah.
And just see them like fill up with the pedal.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying.
Oh my god, I needed to. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I should have said it before. And
I should have been watching like all season long though.
Yeah, we've missed out. Well, I mean, they only introduced
That's a lot of dopamine.
It's only on the new patch, right? But it's been.
If you guys are on the YouTube stream, just go back and go check it out and let us know how it is.
Yeah, and just it's great. It's great. But it's kind of showing the really invisible power that you know, despite the fact it's a 6,000 gold lead, they also have the added power of all those pedals, and they all look for Chovy.
Oh yeah, they will just be able to throw everything at him, and I think Chovy is gonna die. He almost manages to Spirit Rush his way out, but thankfully doesn't put his flash on cooldown.
And I feel like Canyon's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Here I am looking a little bit.
You've died infinitely more times than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Canyon's certainly looking like a bit of a front runner here. To be honest, like everyone on GENG is playing really well. I think Duro's worth a shot as well.
Yeah.
With a lot of his play towards the bottom side. His quickness was so good in the Dragon fight as well.
I mean, Keen kind of set up them getting the Arakan.
Hey, there we go.
I think that's the thing with POM as well. The first game, you kind of like, okay, who's still in the running? And right now, everyone in GENG is still in the running. You know, no one's made any flubs that make you think, they'll have to have a crazy game 2 or game 3 to bring this back. But now,
outplay this.
I mean, this is a good play from BNK VFX. This is sort of play you got to do to catch GENG off guard, rotating up towards that wave. They get a pick. Is that going to change the state of the game? Not massively, but it's something. And you have to keep finding opportunities like that if you want to keep your chances alive. Right now, we did just see the Manamune come in for Diablo, so a pretty big spike for him, and he has been a force to be reckoned with in their previous matches. Can he do enough in this one?
Yep. Ruler does have his 2-item spike as well, but we talk about Ezreal's for a reason. It is very, very strong. So can Diablo be the difference maker? And will BNK even be able to fight for this next dragon? Has been up for a little while. Infernal Soul, kind of a big deal here as well. Will give a lot of extra damage over to GENG, because they're the ones that are starting it up, and they should be able to take this one down without too much of a response. I
mean, getting that dragon early for BNK VFX definitely bought them some time, so they don't have to fight every dragon from here on out, but it's going to get rough if they keep giving them over.
Yeah, the problem is that I don't see BNK as having a huge scaling advantage or anything like that. You could say that, you know, Gwen and Azir are going to be doing a little bit more later on in the game, but Ruler is just going to be Ruler later on in the game.
That's the thing. It's sometimes you have these scaling comps where you're like, whoa, if it goes to 40 minutes, this team auto wins. Normally that's stuff like a Smolder or a
Fairy or something.
Stuff like that. But in a game like this, it's like, yeah, things will be better later on, but it's not an auto win. It's not. You still have to do a lot of work, and if you're this far behind in gold, even the later stage of the game is going to be problematic until you get like full build.
Yeah.
So, but time is always going to help. When you're this far behind in gold this early, the longer the game goes, the less relevant that gold difference feels. So right now, BNK for X are just kind of in control mode.
Yeah, you can see Chovy is a Cinder's enjoyer as well. When I see a player notice a Cinder on the ground and then walk towards it,
Yes.
I just like them that little bit more every time.
You know, I don't get the players who walk past like the flowers or the Cinders and ignore them. It hurts me on a core level. It's not only is it free stats, it's satisfying to pick up. I'm gonna be real, even if the Cinders didn't give me anything, I would pick them up. But they do give you stuff. They give you stats. They give you ability haste.
Yep. They also give you movement speed when you pick them up, so it's probably more efficient if you want to get to where you're going to just, you know, take a little bit of time out of your day to pick them up, because you get to the place faster.
Did that one just spawn, or did Ruler walk past it?
Oh, Ruler played. No, did he go back and get it? He may have just gone back and got it.
Oh,
he's moving a little bit fast. Yeah, he was moving faster on
Wait, they're still there.
Wait, really?
They're on the mini-map.
Oh, no.
I need to see. I need to know. Did he pick them up? This is important.
I don't think he did.
If he walked past that and didn't pick it up, I'm going to crash out.
Well, the Baron has just spawned, and Canyon is clearing out some vision where he can. There are 3 members up here, as Canyon is going a little bit aggressive, just walls off these Sand Soldiers. I think Kellen might still be there, as we do check out all of GENG's vision, and Chovy may just be left on his... Never mind. Raptor still looking for a little bit of an angle, as Kellen also hunting. Man, they really want to kill Chovy again.
Chovy's memory is the last time he was here. Didn't go down well.
I think he's aware. I think there's a little bit of awareness here, as Duro is not the target that Raptor was looking for.
Quick reactions from Duro there. As soon as it hits something, he's instantly dipping out. Doesn't know what's in that brush. They will clear it out, though.
Ooh, Chovy finds another electrocute. That does a lot of damage. Still holding the charm from what we can see, as the flash has to be out. As in goes Duro, finds a knock-up onto Vikla, but the follow-up isn't quite there. Clear's teleported in. Grand Starfall from Canyon, who's looking for Vikla, gets his target, but the follow-up is not going to be available, and Diablo has already dealt with Chovy. A great fight here for BNK Fear X around the Baron as well, with no jungler. Is it a Baron angle?
It's risky, but I think they have to go for it. You're in a bad spot. Try and make it happen. They're going to maybe look for some poke in the meantime to make it weird.
Oh, Diablo could be in trouble here as Ruler able to free hit. Clear looking to get on top of him. Raptor taking so much damage as Keen flashing away from Diablo. Can Diablo follow it up though? And the answer is yes, as they take him out. Ruler with the flash is so sexy, but still, he is going to go down. And Diablo just chasing after him. There it is. The kill comes through. It's a triple here for this Ezreal, but it does mean no Baron over to BNK.
But a huge influx of gold for BNK Fear X. It went from a 6,000 gold lead all the way down to 2,000. And the play starts off with Chovy missing a charm. Tries to find some more damage, does disengage from the play, but then Canyon flies in, essentially 1 versus 4, and I was praising earlier the discipline and restraint.
Oh, true shot barrage from Diablo that killed Chovy.
Oh, that was clean.
I didn't actually notice it in the team fight. I'm like, oh, I must have missed it, but that was off screen.
Clean from Diablo, and then this play, you know, Ruler trying to find an advantage there, trying to find them out of the brush. Duro there to follow, but Diablo too clean with it, and then using the engage cone to close the distance.
Oh, that's
He got
sick.
so much gold off the back of this play because he was picking up all these shutdowns. Like 700 gold from Keen, a bunch from Chovy.
Oh, and then he was
there.
Maybe that's why he left the Cinders. Because if he had have walked all the way to them, maybe he could have got the movement speed to actually get out alive, but instead he still didn't go towards the Cinders.
Diablo's so strong. Clay got an extra level from his Rod of Ages coming in, and is about to hit 17.
Well, Duro is trying to get out of here as well, and he is going to be able to do so. Has to use a lot of buttons, but look at this. Diablo is so big. And now Chovy trying to take matters into his own hands. Shield of Daybreak going to tie him up, though. And GENG not really able to find too many inroads now, and BNK coming alive. As Clear getting on top of Chovy in that backline. His Ruler's just dead. That Mystic Shot did so much damage, and now Chovy is going to be cut down where he stands. The 2 damage dealers just on the floor, and BNK are looking for a Baron.
And we were talking about BNK Fear X, you know, how in their previous matches, sometimes playing as if they have nameplates off. They're playing as if the gold is just not a concept they're aware of. They're playing with such confidence, and actually that gold lead now in favor of them. They've managed to pull back a 6,000 gold lead against GENG.
That is absurd.
We went to the Dragon to force Canyon away. Not going to let him get any closer to the Soul.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to. So it's going to be 2 dragons apiece. We have even footing. B&K, there is still an outer turret in that mid lane that they can siege down for some extra money utilizing this Baron. They grab themselves their second Drake, and we have a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. B&K FearX looking so good now.
Juro just a bit over-aggressive. Canyon comes to save him, offer the dash for him, but it means both Canyon and Juro super low, and then Chovy goes in, can't connect the charm onto Diablo there. I think at this point you go, okay, we don't have the pressure, we should back away, but Chovy face checks clear. And we see the shove from Vikla into the wall, the follow-ups there. Just some massive oversteps.
Yeah.
Feels like from multiple members of GENG.
Bit of a brain fade on the GENG side, and now we're starting to see some of the cracks in the GENG composition as well. Like, there's no front line for this team. Kellen is actually going to be a legitimate tank as the game goes on. Of course, can just put up the Eclipse, as we can see right here. Actually now taxiing into the backline as well as Keen gets engaged on, and Canyon is just dead in the blink of an eye. GENG are falling apart, ladies and gentlemen.
It's getting decimated at this point. 2,000 gold lead for B&K FearX, but it just feels like the gold is in all the right places. 2,000 lead just for Diablo needs so much work.
Clear is really eviscerating these turrets. That was like Raptor coming down. He's like, I'll help you. And then he sees what was happening. He's like, I guess I don't need to. And that is going to be exactly right. As now Chovy looking for a charm angle. Doesn't connect it. Still, it's going to be some decent damage onto Diablo there. And GENG do need to still be respected.
They keep fishing with these ults from Chovy, and every time he just takes so much damage in return. And remember, Diablo has cleanse as well, so even if it hits, doesn't necessarily mean they'll get a kill.
Yep. It's a 2,000 gold lead for Diablo alone, based on all of those shutdowns that he was able to pick up. Yeah, there's 3 items for the Xayah, but it is 4 now completed for this Ezreal. He is so incredibly big. And let's see what happens to Canyon here, because he had health, and then he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, I was talking about the pseudo-tankiness of the Pantheon. Very different when you start to fall behind. And this game, it's been like whiplash, how this has gone from a... You know, we were talking about it potentially being a perfect game for GENG. I think we're a little ways off that right now.
I would say that perfect game is probably not on the cards. And in fact, a game that they actually win is looking further and further away at this point in time, as GENG not going to lose their inner turret just yet, but it is getting very close.
And this is why we've seen so many Ezreal bans in the second rotation. B&K FearX prioritizing it early.
Well, Canyon face checking once again, as it is going to be the kill onto Kellen. B&K FearX still with an opportunity though, as Chovy is incredibly low. Canyon as well, falling lower and lower. The heal going to be invested just to try and keep them alive, as Ruler still in good standing with his health bar. They'll take the pick and they will back away, but GENG looking worse for wear in this game. Even after that pick, I don't think they're really able to get too much outside of tidying up their side lane.
I will say some massive aspects of this play that are really important, because there's no objectives up right now, but it's Summoner's Burned. So if you actually see, Chovy goes for Charm on Vikla. Vikla flashes it and it hits Diablo, who cleanses. And I think that flash being down, that cleanse being down, that is relevant, because all these previous plays, you saw Chovy fishing with these charms, wasn't connecting, but the point was, even if it does, so what? Now something they can play off, something they can potentially punish, because I feel like when you start to fall behind in the game, if the enemy team has all summoners, and you commit everything, and they just flash, that is game losing.
Yeah.
So we'll see, things are starting to heat up. We have Dragon in a minute 30, Baron in 2 minutes. I think that probably going to see some action around this Dragon, but both the carries off B&K FearX, well, their AD carry in the mid, need to be a little bit more conservative around this objective.
I do still think the way they've been playing has been really impressive. The fact that Raptor and Kellen have not been afraid to just go in, put themselves on the line clear as well. Being able to catch flanks has been really impressive. As Canyon goes in, Kellen in a little bit of a rough spot, is actually now flashing away, has been separated from the rest of the team. True Shot Barrage not really doing too much outside of softening up Ruler, and now Raptor could be in trouble. The flash out once again as the charm is invested, as Canyon was looking for Diablo. And GENG, they once again kill Kellen. Man, I've seen Oleona do this relatively recently, and it's not exactly the greatest.
Also, more Summoner's Burn. It's just stacking the odds in favor of GENG, because the Tool's Burn in return, I mean, especially both the Rakan and the Ahri Tentacle Ultimate Hunter, so that ult's going to be back in time. Maybe not on time for the Dragon, but a little bit after. And with Kellen down, you're okay to stall for a little bit, but like we've lost another 2 flashes for BNK FairX. This is a point where you start to ask, do we even want to contest this dragon? Is it too scary? Do you want to set up for Baron instead?
Well, I think there is certainly some merit in just focusing on getting as much vision control around this Baron as possible. It is only Soul Point, remember, because BNK were able to deny that second Infernal Drake for GENG. So now they will move to Soul Point. GENG do get their prize, but now 30 seconds until the Baron, and this is where the real dance begins. I'm just so glad that we've actually got a real game of League of Legends. I wasn't expecting a real game of League of Legends in like when we were at the 7-minute mark.
You know what? I wasn't expecting a real game of League of Legends when the first time we had this matchup in the LCK, and we got one, and now we're getting it again. So BNK FairX rising up to the challenge, and especially considering how bad the state of game this was. 6,000 gold deficit, 2,000 gold up still, despite the fact that GENG started making a little bit of progress in the recent minutes.
Oh, Diablo just throwing out Mystic shots all over the place. Solarflare going to get some slows, but not too much more. Is now clear. Goes golden, but Raptor's the one in so much trouble. Canyon locks down the kill. Duro keeping himself safe as well. And the Gwen is dead. Diablo is going to have to be an absolute hero, but the charm lands. Of course it does. This time around, Chovy in the clutch, able to make it happen. The knock-up onto Kellen will be able to take him down, but Duro is going to die. Diablo having to use everything, and the follow-up charm is just too good. And from being in a winning position to probably just losing the game in the snap of some fingers.
Duro playing so well around clear, ensuring they got that kill.
Vikla's dead. Well, he's golden. But there are a lot of feathers on the ground there. The Sand Soldiers will celebrate, but they're not celebrating for BNK. This inhibitor turret's going to go down the inhibitor to follow, but I'm seeing this like the Xerxes moment, you know, where he throws the spear and the scratch is left on the cheek of the god. And certainly, GENG can bleed. This was not clean throughout the mid-game, but they do take the W in the end.
I think both teams, you know, testament to GENG being able to restabilize a game. Not every team can do that, but BNK FairX, as you said, made them work for that win. Considering the game state, at one point, the 6,000 lead, go into that deficit, definitely not a trajectory GENG expected. And showing they really do have to respect their opponents in this one.
The gold graph is going to be a very interesting thing to observe, I think.
It is.
Because it was looking pretty up and to the right for GENG earlier on. And so I can imagine now, you know, you've got Helper there on the PC going through saying, like, this, by the way, is where you may have perhaps overextended. And that was the problematic part. I think for BNK, even though this is a loss, they're still going to be feeling pretty good about how things are going. Like,
imagine if they win 6k gold down, play this game out like that. You know, I think that would be a big testament to it. I do want to give some credit to Duro. I think in the last fight, completely shut down Clear, played around Zhonya's and managed to reduce his impact pretty significantly. But yeah, I think ultimately both teams with things to work on, both teams showing a good amount of strength in this game one.
Absolutely. I mean, GENG are just extraordinarily good, so they're never really down and out. But BNK FairX just demonstrating that they can dance with the best of them here in the LCK. Let's see whether they can do a better job in game number 2. We're going to go to a short break. Space going to break that one down. Then we'll have the second game. We'll see you soon.
오공 이거 되는 거야? 오공 노플인데?
야, 그냥부터 때릴게.
야 그음부터 때릴게. 야 위에 오공 노플이야. 오공 빠지고 우리는.
나왔어.
나 그인 잡았어. 야 실패 아지를.
야, 나 상처 안 줘. 나
아지를 괜찮아. 야 레오나.
아, 아지를 세탁.
가자. 아궁 굴게. 미드 노플. 노플인즈 있다. 노플인즈. 근데 생각하자. 이게 안 닿네. 아지를 풀고. 아지 풀떡 되거든. 아니 노플이야.
이거 내가 그냥 아지한테 박아줄게.
그러니까 내가 풀떡 돼. 내가 아지한테 호응되는 거 없어.
나 앞에 호응 돼. 나
분장 있다. 나 이거 풀떡 박을. 풀떡 가보고. 바란데.
My brain just didn't quite figure that one out. So, going to be switching sides now with a theoretical advantage, and we'll see whether they can make that one happen. As Xin Zhao actually banned on blue.
That's
crazy.
interesting. Not sure I agree with that. Does make me wonder what their first pick strategy is going to be, but you'd assume GENG would have banned it themselves if you give them the space of time.
Yeah, I think they were probably angling, like their favorite first pick would probably be Talia. Vikla has picked that like 7 times so far this season and has certainly been better on that champion than any other so far.
So right now, Varus and Neferi are available, which were banned last time by GENG.
Kalista also.
Presumably, you want one of them open. So Nidalee banned. So yeah, Kalista, Varus, and the Neferi are the ones open available.
I think Diablo is going to pick Kalista first. Because we saw the Ruler Kalista experiment, and it wasn't great for the opposing team. GENG read that though, so they're going to be able to, they ban that one away. I'm not entirely sure whether I agree with this. I think GENG could play into it just fine, and can otherwise pick it away if it's not prioritized.
This means now that Neferi going to get first picked, but then GENG could take the Varus in return as a trade, and could maybe go Varus Rumble as a rotation.
I still really want to see the Neferi first pick win rate, because Neferi first pick just makes me feel just bad inside, you know? We saw it in our last series, and we may see it here in our second one.
There's the Rumble.
Yeah, so what is it? Like, what's Canyon's choice going to be in this game? That's a
I don't know. I
big
think
question.
There's options, but it's kind of gone down in the priorities. So I think you definitely grab the Rumble. I think if you want the Varus, you grab that here too, and then kind of keep the third pick a little bit more flexible. They will lock that in. It seems like they're taking the time deciding if the Varus is a higher priority or they're okay with going in different directions. Could look to secure. If they have a jungler they want to... I mean, to be honest, you can pick jungle on 3 because they've already picked the jungle themselves. You're not going to get choked out of the pool. I think maybe if there's a mid lane you want to have priority on.
You can also pick jungler here so that you can counter pick mid lane if Vikla is going to pick it up on the next round. We'll see. Zed, obviously. So they do pick jungle here, or mid lane here. They pick a champion in the second rotation.
And you know, this has an interesting impact because immediately I would feel uncomfortable if I had to play Varus. And I think it's worth mentioning, often when we see kill AD carry compositions, we see in the second rotation they ban Ezreal and they ban Xayah. Well, it's Fearless, and Ezreal and Xayah are already off the cards.
Oh, God.
So maybe this is part of the reason they feel comfortable opting into this so soon. And as a
Lucian
result,
Nami.
BNK FearX grabbed the Lucian, wanted a mobile AD carry. Lucian Nami, though? We've seen Lucian. We haven't seen Lucian Nami. I was kind of happier that way.
Yeah, me too. Kellen has been a great Nami player in the past. It's been one of his better champions. But Chovy now doesn't exactly have to do that much damage this game. There is so much already represented in this Zed and the Rumble. So he locks in the Galio, and his Galio actually does do a lot of damage.
Having a mid pick who can roam and set up these high damage jungle and top picks, really valuable here. So they secure that. Don't have a look in towards the Varus, end up leaving that one. And that will probably be banned away by BNK FearX. But when you look at the AD carries available, there's the Varus, there's the MF, there's the Jhin. There's a lot of long-range options on the cards. Would you see the Ornn banned by GENG? I mean, you definitely wouldn't want to play into Ornn if you're playing MF or Jhin.
Yeah, is it just going to be Ornn Sion bans just to get rid of any more tanky options that can kind of handshake the lane? Maybe that's sort of the line of thinking here on GENG's side. We'll have to see exactly what does happen.
An Aurora ban? If you're really like, we want to make sure Keen has a good time, an Aurora ban in theory could make sense.
Yep.
They do just go for the Sion though. More concerned about clear playing tanks into it than carries. Varus did get banned, to no real surprise. Do they throw another ban to those long-range 80 carries? Or, you know, I feel like an Alistar pick could still be really valuable inside of GENG.
It would be really, really good if Rumble didn't do magic damage, because, like, this is a Malphite angle. It really is. They need engage. Like, they don't have your general tank support towards that bottom side. Kellen not going to be engaging this time around. They're representing 0 engage thus far. So it could be a decent option, as Ruler is going to select a champion with another equalizer.
Yeah, I think one of the few players who are still keen on the core KD carry. We've seen it less and less recently.
Oh, that'll be
this.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So wait, one team has Lucian Nami.
Oh, God.
And the other team has Zeri.
I wonder...
Have we seen this before in the LCK?
Is it Lulu or is it Yuumi? That's the question. Either of them will make Valdez mold.
They both got nerfed on this patch, though. It might be neither. It might actually be neither. I remember both.
Oh, Silas.
Silas comes through, does get to steal away the ult from the Galio. But Lulu's been nerfed like 3 patches in a row. Like, they've been trying to kill her. I don't know what she did. I don't know what Pix did, but they've been beefing with Lulu. But I think it was on this patch as well that they nerfed Yuumi, or did she get nerfed recently? I'm trying to remember.
Can go through and have a look at the patch notes, as there's the Aurora that you were talking about will be locked in. And so there is the Lulu, wasting absolutely no time. We are just locking it in, as we have Zeri Lulu, Lucian Nami.
I was wrong. Yuumi was nerfed last patch, and Lulu's been nerfed, I swear, like 18 patches in a row. That's an exaggeration, but it's been a lot.
Yeah.
So to be clear, she got nerfed on 2508, she got nerfed on 2507, she got nerfed on 2504.
My God.
So in the last 5 patches, she's been nerfed 3 times.
Yep, and it was a while before that she stopped getting played in pro play.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've seen this pairing at least a couple of times before, but obviously both in very different power levels to when they dominated the LCK.
Yep. And fun to see Canyon once again on the Zed jungle. This is something that he's looked good on in the past. As we'll see, can BNK FearX manage to do it again? This time on the blue side, theoretically an advantage, but against, I think, a more difficult composition to go into. The fact that Ruler has so much carry potential as well. We have seen great things out of Diablo on this Lucian. But is it going to be enough to get them a victory here against GENG in game number 2? I am not entirely sure. I just know that they do have it in them. And that's what we have to lean on here.
Gotta see what they can do. It's an explosive comp.
Yep. Trophy's Galio, always extraordinarily scary, though. Let's dive under the rift here for game number 2. See if BNK can do it.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Under the rift for what could theoretically be the final game of the series. Man, that's some ebb and flow value. You love to see that coming out from Kellen.
I think we're in a situation where really BNK FearX need to get an early advantage. I don't think that comp holds up in the later stages. And Diablo's gone Electrocute, Ignite, Lucian. He is so locked into pumping out the early damage.
That is actually kind of cool as well, because you're into a Zeri. Doesn't necessarily do all that much until you have all-in angles maybe at level 6. Should certainly be able to get a lot of priority there towards that bottom side. You have a winning matchup on the top side of the map, especially early on with that Aurora. There are opportunities here as Silas into the Galio has been something that has worked. Just don't know whether the nameplates are going to be helping BNK out that much.
Yeah, hopefully Vikla has a bit of a better laning phase than he did in the last game.
Because we saw Chovy, like, even leaning into ranged matchups, like win in farm as Galio. So, don't know whether this is going to be better or worse, but we'll just have to see how it does go. Of course, with a Lulu here, instead of something like an Alistar Zeri, which would feel absolutely hopeless, you might be able to stand a little bit more toe-to-toe.
I think that's the thing, is that with Lucian Army, you have a lot of burst damage, but if you dash in a little too far, you're playing into barrier heal.
Oh dear.
A longer fight is where it can backfire, especially like lethal tempo versus electrocute. This is such a front-loaded combo. And you see Diablo ends up getting the burst onto Rilla, but doesn't commit further. Just going for the short trades to keep that pressure up.
Yeah, hits level 2. We'll be able to now just zone them away as best he can. Wins a war coming down here in this mid lane. As we can see, Chovy is winning. But not really too much of a surprise there as Duro, the Ardent Blaze, hurting the Lulu here a little bit. Shoutouts to Duro for the best possible skin choice. The googly eyes really just do it for me.
It's a great skin.
It's so, so good. There's Diablo. Ooh, not quite able to get over there.
Good spacing from Genji's bot lane. Any rotation of cooldowns wasted like that is always positive. Represents a lot less damage that you otherwise would be taking.
Mm-hmm. We've certainly been studying this bottom lane a lot. I think our observers understanding this is going to be a pretty important point of contention for both teams for very different reasons.
Is that even though obviously Zeri Lulu's weaker than it was, it still kind of spikes at similar times. There's still like a similar point in the game where it just becomes super obnoxious. The thing with the Lucian Nami is you no longer have that, like it used to be, Lucian would be on like an item and heart. Oh no.
Oh dear. Well, Canyon's just going to move in, and Diablo just going to try and turn that into a kill. Raptor will find Canyon, who flashes away.
Okay.
Great play out of BNK FearX here to really put the pressure onto Genji.
Yeah, Canyon trying to relieve some pressure and just ends up making things worse. And a couple of summoners burn for BNK FearX, but the health... Oh no.
All right, well, there's a taunt onto Vikla as Canyon is moving over. The chains do connect, but down goes the Silas immediately, and Chovy's still alive. Vikla going to be regretting that one, I could imagine. As Raptor now fighting against Canyon here. There's a full minion wave, but this doggo is unleashed. And down goes Canyon. The bleed's still going to land. The teleports are coming in now, but Raptor is out of there.
I mean, that could have been so good for BNK FearX, because there was a chance they actually got Chovy as well. He was so low in HP. But I think overall, they'll still take it. Raptor going to be in a decent position, although Vikla not so hot right now. Oh, now looking for a dive. Clears a little lower mana.
Yeah, Raptor wasting no time. Let's see whether Kane has himself a scrap shield. He does. And he runs towards his jungle. So BNK not going to be able to get the kill, but to get the flash, and that's exactly what they were looking for.
Yeah, the untargetability from the Neferi is so useful for just dropping aggro there after you got what you want. Don't have to commit fully to the dive.
Okay, an interesting 2v2 has formed here in this mid lane. As Vikla and Kellen against Chovy and Duro right now.
I mean, Silas Nami, Galio, Lulu does sound more fun.
It does sound more fun. That's far more interesting than a lane we saw 400 times in 1 year. And gold completely even here as the dragon is spawning here at 5 minutes time. Chovy continuing to lane very well into Vikla, as we can see.
Yeah, the thing I was saying earlier, so it used to be back when we had Gale Force.
Oh, there's another Justice Punch. It's Canyon. He didn't actually want to come over here. He thought that, you know, Vikla wasn't going to be killable, but then he was like, hang on a second. If he's going to stick around.
Nearly able to set it up. But yeah, we'll get to see that previous play. Chovy flashing away at pretty much the perfect moment. The bleed from the Neferi
Yeah. Wow.
doesn't quite connect the second one.
And then Canyon and Raptor were fighting. Avoiding the Shuriken, actually a huge deal there for Raptor as well. So Canyon certainly far more front-loaded on the damage.
Yeah, Raptor kind of just walks at him and it doesn't do the work.
Doing the old hit him a bunch of times.
Yeah, the point I've been trying to make is that back in the day we had this really strong one-item spike where like Nami had Imperial Mandate and Lucian Gale Force. Gale Force is gone now.
Yep.
And Mandate is weaker, so there's not nearly as a pronounced mid-game. And I feel like as a result, you have to get more of an advantage in the laning phase. Before, we'd see sometimes Lucian Nami even wouldn't necessarily be ahead in the laning phase, but once that one-item spike hit, that's really where they took over the game.
Yeah.
Able to secure mid-prio and play super aggressively around it.
So much of that came down to having First Strike as well. I feel like First Strike was so valuable as far as like just sitting in the mid lane and just culling everything.
Yeah.
It was.
And it made it so hard to contest anything because anytime you walked up to the wave mid, you were in danger of just being chunked out by the burst combo. I think a lot of Lucians have been going like Essence Reaver. We'll see what Diablo ends up going.
Yeah, there's been a few different build ideas actually. It feels like his build is quite fluid at this point in time. We'll see what Diablo's idea is going to be. It is going to involve a pickaxe. That's all we really know from now. And Vikla moving over back towards this mid lane. Both of our mid laners with their ultis up and available. BK with a slight gold advantage, about 300. Just means that they have been able to utilize these lane advantages quite nicely at this point in time. Remember, GENG, a whole lot more about investing for the future as the bubble not quite going to connect, and that's a great polymorph onto Diablo, but he now has the culling. Duro is just going to take most of his health in damage.
A level 6 spike coming in big.
Yeah.
Duro, dangerously low. Diablo is low on mana though, so maybe weird staying around as a result of that.
You can see Ruler actually wanting to get that level 6. He's 1 minion away. He's going to pick it up now. But sticking around here, it's certainly feeling dangerous. Duro is poppable, to say the least, especially with this electrocute on the Ezreal. So he does need to play very carefully.
I see the electrocute and the ignite. You know, the only defensive summon that they have for Duro is that heal. Ignite's obviously going to reduce that, so if Duro oversteps, can be quite dangerous. We do see Canyon moving down, undetected.
Yeah.
It's going to be very dangerous.
Very ninja-esque, absolutely. As now they go in, there's the lightning crash. And Kellen, he's definitely dead. Canyon just says, okay, we'll take that one. Some seafood, please. And Raptor, he's going to be taking the grubs in response. And so BK not getting nothing for the play, but getting a kill onto this Zed, another one, is going to mean good things for GENG's mid-game.
And also, I mean, it's only a bit of a syscall for Ruler, but if you look at the farm difference as well, basically no lead for Lucian in this matchup.
I've seen this one before. As Equalizer going to come down from Keen, he just realizes that perhaps I'm getting dove. And they're still going to go in, as Raptor is taking so much damage. He goes untargetable, but thankfully, Clear picks up the turret aggro. That was scary. But they do manage to play it out well, and B&K, they get exactly what they're looking for.
A lot of confidence in the kit of Neferi, able to drop the aggro just in time and survive that. Good gang coming out from B&K. Ferex not the easiest to pull off. And yeah, I mean, Callan's just dead. Stepped up a bit too far. I feel even ignoring the fact that Canyon was there, I think he stepped up a little far, but the fact that Canyon was there was just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, he was definitely dead. Speaking of definitely dead, I thought that this was going to be a 1-for-1, but Raptor plays it out very, very well on targetability. OP.
One of the doggos tanks the tower. What a player.
Clean. So B&K still with a slight gold advantage because it was, of course, a trade. But this game, very, very close. Remember, at this time in the last game, it was about a 3,000 gold lead for GENG or something absurd like that. But we still have the first item completion here for Canyon. Does have his Eclipse done. This Zed is quite scary. And it's mid-jungle that is the main lead for GENG. Outside of that, it's Clear with a big advantage over Keen towards this top side of the map. Not to mention the fact that a dragon hasn't even been taken just yet, which is kind of crazy. Big taunt going to come on through onto Vikla, but Canyon moves on over once again.
He's just not winning those trades at all.
No.
Chovy didn't take damage, and you lost.
I feel like Spectre's Cowl is so broken on Galio.
Yeah.
Feels very, very strong.
The thing is, Vikla has Catalyst, so it's not like he has the item you want to build when you want to trade and come out favorably, and he's just not.
No. Barmy Cinder there as well, just doing infinite damage because they're just always in melee range of each other. Kind of nutty, so that unending despair going to be done very, very soon. As
no, the cannon jump! Oh, I think he did get it. He came back and got it with the Winds of War.
Oh my goodness, that's not something that we often see Chovy missing out on. As Clear takes a lot of damage, but does trade it back quite nicely. And now the ulti's actually going to come on through. Equalizer down as Keen takes a big combo. And he's ticking, has the scrap shield, so he's going to be okay. Leandri's diff coming through pretty nicely there for Clear as GENG. We're going to try and take this first dragon, but Raptor comes on over. It is going to be secured by Canyon. Tidal Wave is good, but heroic entrances coming in on both sides. The knockup comes in. That is going to be a kill going over to the Silas, and Chovy has to flash away. Good blast cone, but Ruler not going to be able to get any kills off the back end of that one. And GENG, they do get the Drake, but they lose their jungler.
Yeah, Canyon, it was a choice to go back in on that one.
Yeah.
Could have not done that, and I think that might have been a better call. But either way, it does go down. The Dragon secured. He's now looking for Clear. Still hasn't completed the Andries. In fact, opted to pick up some other components. I guess didn't have gold to finish it.
Yeah, that's actually kind of interesting. Unless he just didn't go back. No, actually he did.
No, he did. He teleported. He got like Boots and Dark Steel. I guess just didn't quite have enough. Yeah, so Canyon does get the Dragon. Hard to smite against a Zed who has the Execute in his passive. And then
Ah, so presses, maybe, I don't know.
He
That
switched with his shadow, which was already out.
Yeah,
I think he
bit odd.
thought he hadn't used his shadow, and he was trying to place it down.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Could have not done that, and he would have just walked out the galley world, and at worst had to flash. But, you know, you live with your choices.
You do. So a little bit of a whoopsie. Doesn't, as we know, he doesn't have as many stage reps on the Z as he does on a lot of other champions.
That's very true.
I think he's played it 3 or 4 times. If that. See whether he can tidy it up, as right now, still sitting on 2-2-0, so definitely a good performance.
I always wonder when you see a niche pick like a Zed, like how recently has he played it, both in solo queue or in like scrims, you know? I always wonder.
Yeah, I often like look it up and then I'm thinking, if he's played like this one random game of this weird champion, how many games does that mean he's played in scrims? As Ruler is going to get culled here, takes a lot of damage as Diablo not going to quite be able to match all of the bullets.
I think
still a trade of ultis.
This is the thing, right? First items completed for Diablo and Kellen, it just doesn't hit the same. You know, if that was Gale Force, an old mandate, I think Ruler's just dead.
Yeah.
Or bare minimum barrier and wild growth burn.
Well, Canyon is looking to come in and take down Clear here, who bounces to the wrong side. Oh no! Oh, unforced error number 2. This time Canyon's actually able to capitalize on it instead of being at the rough end of it.
That is
Oh,
some regret right there from Clear.
Yeah.
Bit of a goof.
We're going to say that's an unforced error. And it was something that I feel Clear did a fair few times. Has more recently been a lot more clean. That not an example of the more recent Clear. That was a whoopsie.
Yep, not much more to say on it, but
yeah, I was waiting. I was like, well, I'm sure there's going to be a...
I think Canyon appreciates that one. Just, I think thought the ult had dropped a little sooner than it had, is the only way you can sort of look at it.
The problem is that that was such a pain point for GENG. This top side, getting a kill onto Keen is actually so important. You can see that gold lead that was 700 earlier on is now only 250. Like,
yeah,
nothing.
And Keen got 2 stacks on the Dark Seal and has Leandri's finished. Oh, we don't need to see it again.
Oh, no.
We're going to see it.
Or so put it in slow motion.
He's just trying to walk down and then does... Oh, no, he bounced himself back.
Bounced himself into the wall. Oh. It happens to the best of us.
이건 개꿀인데 이거.
Scheme was like, oh, thank you for that, I guess. Yeah, he actually did just say thank you.
Stone cold in the manner he said it, though.
Yeah. It is kind of the Keen way. He's not very emotional with his responses.
Also,
oftentimes.
I feel like I would say the same way if I had to play Rumble into Aurora.
Yeah. He's like, thanks, I deserve this.
Yes. Also, I hate you putting me through this matchup.
Exactly. 2v2 continuing here. Make it a 3v3. Make it a 4v3. As you've got Chovy moving in, finds just the edge of the taunt. Diablo not looking too worried about it, though. Even finding the piercing light damage onto Ruler as Raptor with some daggers coming on down. Clear gonna get harpooned.
You gotta remember, no cleanse on Diablo, so if the taunt hits or maybe a polymorph, you just have to sit through that.
Yeah, and there's Imperial Mandate as well, so it's not Mikhail's from Kellen as item number 1, so he's very susceptible to CC. Diablo all in on the aggression as Equalizer is odd, to say the least. Canyon not really with too much of an option here as the tidal wave is great. Canyon now looking for something there, but he just goes down. Vikla, the death mark, not doing anything to this Silas. And Canyon's having a happy game here today. What it feels like as Diablo goes in, the ulti from Ruler has to flash away though, and BNK really flexing their muscles. Rift Herald now going to be taken under the noses of GENG. They have a ward. There's just nothing they can do.
Look, I don't want to be too critical, but I'm going to be.
Okay.
As a Zed, how are you getting caught out so repeatedly?
Well,
how have you died 3 times?
Let's have a look.
You know you can just not...
He walked into the bad guys.
Yes. He could have just not done that.
Well, he tried to do some damage on his way out. He did not.
I thought maybe it was because he used his W for poke, but no, he just face checked them. So Canyon, you know, we said in the last game that maybe he was a little smug when Chovy went down. He's like, oh well, I might be getting POM now. No, you're not.
No,
absolutely not getting POM now.
He's sort of out of the running at this point in time. As Diablo dashing forward, finding some Ardent Blaze damage, but nothing too much else going to come of that one. And we have a very close game. 300 in it. Looks like the Drake is going to be evened out. I don't think Canyon's going to be able to secure this. And that is indeed the fact. And it's a Chemtech Soul. Hawks, you're right here. Well, we'll see what they can make of it as good polymorph there onto Diablo. Another spell that is not going to be mitigated very easily. And we're looking for a charge. We'll actually get one this time around as Diablo goes in with the culling, and the turret almost kills him there.
He wants to so bad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could
Do
see
it, Canyon, it'd be funny.
Yeah, and look, you've been doing it throughout the rest of the game. You may as well.
At least you'd get a kill probably there.
Yeah. I mean, Duro's there as well. I mean, the Z is kind of engage if he goes in on the Shadow and then gets Wild Growthed, you know?
Yeah.
That's engage. You know what I'm saying? All right, probably not. Stroby doesn't find the Justice Punch, but does find the Pedal. That's real nice. 2 minutes on the Otacon. Bit of a check-in there. And what is it? 400 gold? Yep. Still the case. It is BNK with the Feats of Strength. So that is great.
Yep. A little bit of an advantage from that.
Chovy just flash Justice Punches and does get Diablo's flash just like that. But in goes Raptor and heroic exit there from Chovy. Canyon now going to bear the brunt of all of the enemies in the area.
The joys of fighting against two champions no CC. I saw and you're out, so Chovy does end up trading flashes, but it's a big cooldown for Diablo not to have, considering he doesn't have any extra safety tools. It's not a cleanse, not a McHale's. Without that flash, liable to potentially be targeted in the next fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if Diablo built like Merc Treads or something like that, just to try and mitigate it. He feels extremely susceptible to CC.
The problem is Lucian's so spike reliant. If you commit that gold towards the Merc Treads, it feels bad, and also.
But now he needs like a QSS eventually.
If
like
you get CC'd, you're probably just cooked.
Yeah, probably.
I think QSS can come up. You need 3 items. I think he needs IE.
Yeah.
And then you probably need Pen.
And then, maybe if you can afford it, then you're probably winning anyway.
Yeah, maybe you could get QSS before Pen. There's not that many tanks on the enemy team, apart from Chovy, most of them are. Like, you do want Pen eventually, because everyone has natural armor, but I think you could live without it. But either way, you definitely can't buy anytime soon.
Well, Raptor's coming in. Looking to see whether he can do anything to Chovy. Vikla is going to report that he can indeed do nothing to Chovy. As let's see who picks up this blue buff. Looks like it's going to be Chovy that walks over and collects it. And now, having a look at the timers, Otacon going to be up in 25 seconds. Chovy just Justice punching into the brush here. As Vikla was looking to try and put on some pressure. Some trading of waves here as far as our top lane is concerned, but not too much else. Canyon will be able to secure his Raptor camp. Raptor not going to be able to steal his namesake. And yeah, I don't think anyone's dying in this particular lane.
No. Got to the point where Vikla doesn't really take damage either from Chovy, so it's just...
Yeah, Chovy just standing here getting hit by this caster minion, holding onto the wave. 20 minutes ticks over, and we have the Otacon now on the map. He is towards the bottom side, so maybe a fight around the next Drake and Otacon could be a little bit of a spicy one, but the gold is even closer at this point in time. Is GENG yet to take a turret? That mid-outer did fall in favor of BNK.
BNK not really in position to set up the Otacon, but Canyon on the top side of the map, this is risky.
Risky for whom?
Yes.
Huh. Well, Vikla he's going to be able to get that minion. Puts one ability on cooldown. Spins around a bit, and there is the equalizer. It does absolutely nothing. I just don't know whether it's going to be enough here to keep him alive. That Harpoon did most of his health bar as Vikla presses the R button again because he can. And he is just going to waste their time before burning. It's another kill going over to Canyon as BNK are looking to take an Otacon in response.
I mean, this is why it's risky, you know? You spend that much time on the top side of the map, and Vikla survived for a hot minute, and it gives BNK the opportunity to take this Otacon.
Yeah, Chovy sees it and sees that he can do nothing about it.
Oh, now watch the XP bars.
Oh yeah, here we go. And... Oh, that was nice.
There we go.
I do like
even more.
The animation value is also pretty good.
Yeah. I haven't got a
Feels
big
fluid.
level up there.
Well, speaking of level up, does mean that Diablo now has a level advantage over Ruler. Not quite the same as far as top lane is concerned. Things still pretty even. And GENG, based off that play, actually move up as far as gold because they were able to take a turret. But the Otacon certainly going to be a good one here for BNK because they're stats that you'll just always have.
Yes, they are. 17 flowers total. GENG already had a lot of them. They had 14. going into that. So,
So I guess
you get the
they're not
boosted
as
impact
worried.
off them. BNK Fearx got 10 off picking up the Arakan. So I think GENG had done a good job scouring the map, which, you know,
Nice gardening.
Yeah.
To make this loss feel a little bit better.
maybe that's the play. If you know Arakan's going down and you can't flat it, you just pick up as many of the flowers as possible around the map.
Makes sense. Well, Duro is going to spot Raptor here as he moves over, but the Chemtech Drake is going to be taken. BNK not even putting up too much of a fight because Vikla was looking to kill this turret. He does do so. Now going to continue the fight forward, but doesn't hit the chain, and Trovy is going to be absolutely fine. So another turret goes down. Equalize now onto Diablo as in goes Canyon. Heroic entrance is going to come on through as Diablo flashes to get himself away. Taunt is going to connect onto Vikla as now Ruler dives in, but doesn't hit the ulti onto too much of anything. Clear is burning, but no one's there to follow up, and no one's dead on the side of GENG, but they used a lot of buttons for no joy. Their health bars are looking a little worse for wear, but same can be said for BNK.
A lot of summoners burned from BNK Fearx, Flash and down from Vikla and Diablo there. Diablo having to sit through a full polymorph did not feel fun. I presume that Callan is going to be finishing and Mikhail's second. So
yeah, I think maybe forego a couple of control wards to try and get that one as soon as possible.
The probe comes through, the double ults, and then that flash polymorph from Duro, but the bubble, the CC from Callan to keep Zed off his AD carry went a long way to keeping Diablo alive, and they are able to just disengage from the situation.
Yep. Sort of perfect as well as the death mark comes in, bubble him up, not able to beef up that damage at all. And so not really doing too much of anything. Speaking of which, Raptor comes down towards his bottom side as Keen does go golden. Gets the barbecue in the right position as well, which looks pretty cool. But look at this. The playability into the doggo is looking a little bit low.
Not a ton you can do, and I think one thing as well is it didn't have the flame spitter up when he hit the Zhonya's. That's obviously ideal.
Yeah, I actually thought he did because they were still burning to the Leandri, so it looked like he did, but he didn't.
And in the end, Raptor is able just to reset the aggro with his W, so it's super close still. But
it is.
The edge is in favor of BNK Fearx. The gold edge is basically nothing. It's not really relevant, but the Arakan buff in play, the extra experience, and that impact when you get the kills, and the feats of strength, just these little things that kind of push you towards BNK Fearx. But my big concern is, when I look at the fact there's a Zeri Lulu versus Lucian Nami, the later this game gets at, there's one side I'm definitely favoring.
Yeah. This mid lane matchup is hilarious. Just a trading of buttons all the time, and neither of them really getting too much permanent headway. Trovy clears out a control ward. Looking at Bubble connecting here onto Ruler, who will just ride the wave. And Equalizer. Diablo actually walking all the way down it and just explodes. Nothing he can do. Canyon looking to try and get on in there, but does get out instead. And the doggo goes down this time. Heroic entrance. And Clear is just going to explode. Where did everyone go? BNK are just all on the floor. Now GENG are going to get a Baron, and I guess the game's over. What?
Yep, you're going to make one big mistake against GENG, and that was it. Double too far forwards, didn't have the flash available. Remember, Kellen used his ult a moment before.
Oh,
so no peel tools meant a quick fight win for the side of GENG.
Well, Kellen just looking to try and defend as Vikla is fighting against Trovy, but there goes the Baron. And they should be able to turn this Baron into yet another Drake, grab this outer turret in mid lane. I mean, they've only taken one turret on the map. This gold lead is going to explode off the back end of this one.
They go for this trade, but the ult, I don't know what the thought process behind it was, but then they stay up. And remember, Kellen has no cooldowns. Diablo has no flash. The bubble comes back up, but he just has to flash away regardless, and then they opt into this ensuing fight.
Oh, Ruler surviving for so, like, through everything.
Yeah.
I think he got Wild Growth, he got shielded, the Heroic Entrance, everything just thrown at Ruler to make sure that he stayed alive, and they weren't able to take him down. And look at this, the gold lead just falls off a cliff as it was so extraordinarily close for 20 minutes. And now GENG with a Baron are looking to really extend it, twist the knife. As BNK, what is it with this team? Like, the last series went to 3 games. They were playing very close against GENG, and it's happened once again, even though this is probably going to be a 2-0 for GENG. This is a much better look from BNK than we've seen against a lot of other teams.
Yep. I just hope they maintain this level, because it will pick them up a bunch of wins if they keep playing on this level. Obviously, struggling right now against GENG, and I think that comp is sort of getting to the point where it's going to be outscaled. especially as GENG do have that advantage. And as you said, it's now 4,000 lead, looking to get even more gold on the back of these structures.
Yep. Chovy fighting against Clear, and it's a matchup that he's also pretty happy with. Double AP side lane, solo lanes is a little bit of a worry when you're facing off against the Galio. As Keen moves on down towards his bottom side, we'll be able to take this outer turret, at least eventually, as he does go golden. Raptor going to be moving in, Canyon comes down as well, as Keen is just going to die.
Okay, well.
Yeah, not sure about that. Raptor in the right place at the right time, Orcs. That's what I'm going to say.
And Canyon trying to force Raptor away. He's level 16 now, max rank on that Zed ultimate.
Yep.
But it looks like Raptor's somewhat unfazed.
Yeah, Vikla on a wraparound as well. The rest of GENG getting into the banana brush as Vikla does come in. BNK, they're all here. And in a choke point with that tidal wave is absolutely huge. They do manage to take down Diablo though, so the Dragon, it will go over to BNK, but can they stay alive in the fight? 3-man taunt from Chovy's gigantic as Raptor goes in. I'm not sure about that one, and the knock-up is going to connect. Down goes the Aurora. And once again, 4 of them are dead in trade for 2, but Keen was dead like in the bottom lane for no reason at all. He's teleporting into the top lane.
There's a 4v5 and they still end up winning it very convincingly there. And I think it's hit critical mass at this point. GENG going to start taking some more severe structures. The first inhibitor tower of the game is going to go down. And the mid lane, tier 2 is sure to follow.
Yep, the inner turret's certainly going to fall. We'll see whether they can get yet another inhibitor off the back end of that one, but I think they're just pretty happy with it as Ruler cycling through his most recent teams. JDG comes up and then GENG is going to follow. And let's see this one as the Deathmark actually mitigates so much of the culling value.
Yeah. And then here, the polymorph value from Duro absolutely massive. Every time someone's approaching Ruler, feels like he's using that cooldown just to mitigate here as well and clear at the end.
Oh, the protect the president out of this team is kind of ridiculous.
You know, considering Lulu got nerfed 3 times in the past 5 patches,
I'm starting to see why.
Duro's making a case for a 4th nerf, if I'm going to be honest.
Oh, we've had some great Lulu players in the LCK. Lehen certainly coming to mind as far as mastery on the champion is concerned. Duro looking pretty good himself. So I think I'd hazard a guess that it's just maybe the fact that we've got some players that are pretty good at the video game. Ruler very, very close to completing 4th item Infinity Edge, which I don't think I really need to tell anyone is a bit of a worry if you're a BNK fan.
Yeah, I mean, especially the fact he picked up the shield bow early, which, you know, it's got decent AD and crit, but it's obviously a lot less damage than IE, but it gives so much safety, and you saw it work there.
Yep.
Now the fact he's won that fight, and he's on his way to IEs.
Whoa, there's an equalizer. We are just using it as Ruler
speed up.
just not really too deterred. And so there's another equalizer as Kellen almost just dies to that alone. And Chovy's on a flank. Vikla will find him. The taunt is going to come through, keeps 2 of them busy here as Diablo. Oh my God, Canyon gets in there. Double kills, the bottom lane is eviscerated. And look at that, the bouncy castle is not where Vikla wanted to be. He was playing League of Legends. He didn't want to go to a kid's birthday party. And now Raptor is just a doggo underneath the turret with nowhere to go. And Clear diving over that wall. He's on a control ward though. And Canyon may actually lose out on this one. Another round of spells and that's a dead Zed. But yeah, no, not going to bed here.
I think the kid's birthday party might have been more fun at this point.
Yeah, especially like bouncy castles are really fun actually. That was not a fun version of one.
And now they're pushing up to end the game. It's only Raptor alive. There are spawns coming in soon. Can he do anything? That's the question.
Well, it's looking like the answer is going to be no. He's going to get taunted up. Does go untargetable, but these Nexus turrets are not long for the world. And GENG, it's looking like it's going to be a 2-0 here. Yet another win for Canyon. Zed as well, even though things looked a little bit dicey. Finishes the game with 7 kills. And GENG still looking unstoppable here in the LCK. Move up to 12 wins.
Yeah, and there were definitely moments in both of these games. I think BNK FairX put up a good fight, all things considered. A lot of teams have put up less of a fight against GENG, but GENG kind of feel overwhelming at this point. Even when the game seems to go in your favor, they'll just pull something out of the bag. I'm excited to see right now, it's looking like HLE at T1 are going to be the teams who have to try and take GENG down.
Yep.
But it's a tall task. Still undefeated.
I think in the regular season, I don't know whether anyone's going to touch this team. I think once we get to the playoffs, HLE are going to be the best team in the LCK. and that's just how it's going to go. But it does feel like we have two teams that are so far ahead of the rest. And like you say, I think waiting for the T1 matches in round 2 is going to be a really important one.
That's the question. Is it a top 2 or is it a top 3? Can T1 bridge the gap? Because right now, that's what it's looking like. It looks like T1 is the only team that potentially could be close to these top 2. But for now, GENG are that sole #1. And adding another 2-0 to the record just further solidifies that position.
I would agree. It's going to make Busan very, very interesting if we have 3 teams that are vying for that position on a similar level. I think you're exactly right, because there's only 2 spots at MSI, and right now it looks like HLE and GENG have sort of stamped themselves on those tickets. As Diablo, I understood why he went for the hyper-aggressive, not a lot of safety Lucian build, but it didn't quite work out. You can see, the way he plays is correct. That just says wah, by the way. So, yep, GENG definitely bringing out quite a few wahs from the fans here. As we're going to have a look at what sort of happened in this early game. Some comical things happening here. This one, not as comical if you're a B&K fan. He kind of robbed, as Chobi probably could have gone down there. Thankfully, Canyon throws his life away to make it a little bit more even.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm wondering about POM, because Canyon had a good game 1. Game 2, he kind of ran it, but then he had a good late game. I feel like there's going to be some Canyon votes. I'm not a Canyon voter.
I think there's going to be some Canyon votes.
There's going to be some Canyon votes.
I think Chobi, when he picks the Galio, if he doesn't land the 7-man ulti, then it's harder to justify it because you are largely just frontline.
I think Canyon had some plays in this early game that were not...
I'm really interested in where the votes are going to go.
I am as well.
Kind of have no idea.
Chovi's, lots of people just go Chovi.
Yeah, when in doubt.
Which is never a bad vote, if I'll be honest. It wasn't a bad vote today.
Nope.
But yeah, I'm interested in the spread, if I'm being honest.
Look at that. Protect the President. Ruler. Doesn't go down, even gets healed up by the Redemption to make sure that they can take Baron afterwards. And then Vikla goes in looking for the double knock-up with the Wild Growth. And the Wild Growth in answer was just better.
And Polymorph is just so OP.
Yeah.
Remember they started to remove point-and-click silences out of the game because they're like, these are really toxic. Polymorph is a point-and-click silence and disarm and slow. Keep nerfing Lulu, you're in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I think so. Not quite nerfed her enough, as we can see here. You know what's the best part? That button even has secondary effects as well, if you use it on a teammate.
Exactly.
It's just too good.
Honestly, that...
Nerf Zed as well, by the way, while you're at it.
Galio looking a little bit strong.
Yeah.
Larry too could take a hit. Rumble.
Yep.
Chobi, I think, too, probably needs a nerf.
Yeah, I think Chobi could get enough. Galio, fine.
I just think it's ridiculous. Chobi's been so unbalanced for such a long time. What is the balanced team doing?
Yeah, what is Riot even we should call David Turley and just say, what do we do about this Chobi guy? As Canyon going to be able to outplay Clear in the end there, as they do finish things off. It's once again the hand of GENG. As everyone just doing so much damage. The fact that Keen does the least out of everyone else outside of Duro.
It actually matches my hand. The fingers are the perfect length.
Yeah, right?
They're actually cool. It's not even just because obviously the 4 long fingers and the thumb, but it's the fact that Chovi's slightly longer.
Yeah. Although my little finger and ring finger are far different sizes. Keen did too much damage.
He did too much damage.
Yeah.
He messed up.
Yeah, he just... See, there we go.
You know, so if it was
the little Duro down the bottom.
Yeah, if it was a little less, it would have been... Yeah, of course.
Very cute. And it's going to be Chobi that picks it up. I think that his... Ari did suffer a little bit throughout the mid-game of the last game, but he was a large component as to why they won. His Galio was fantastic, but it always is. I don't know. It feels boring or something. I don't know.
I don't think there's ever... this is not a bad time to give Chobi a POM vote.
No.
But I think this was a time where I think other votes were very valid too. I'm interested to see the spread because I didn't vote for Chobi, and I think there were other people deserving of votes that I hope got some votes.
There might have been a couple of ruler votes in there as well. I think that he had a decent series today as well.
It's also not who I voted for.
No, I think it's probably Canyon, right? He also played Zed, and Zed is fun.
I also didn't vote for Canyon.
As Dagon also has hands. Congratulations to Dagon. Did also with hands. Wolf has what? 2 hands.
Nice.
There we go.
I wasn't sure, you know. I tend to keep my eye level I make eye contact with Wolf. I've never looked at his hands.
No, I check the hands first.
Oh, okay.
Gotta check the hands
Yeah.
first, but maybe that's
I
because I'm
assume
from old
Woodid had
times, like,
hands
what
because-
if he had a sword?
I assume Woodid had hands because he was a pro player, but he has stopped being a pro player, so maybe he could have not had
Maybe
hands
not-
since then. Yeah.
Maybe not so many hands.
Yeah. He also was a support, and a lot of people say supports don't have hands. I mean, Jurog obviously does, but
That's true. You were also a support, but you played Ziggs, so obviously you got hands. That's how that one works.
Oh, where'd they go?
Oh no, he doesn't have hands. Wait, was that just one finger?
Oh, no, there they are.
That was almost a rude
There they
gesture. Not actually the case. Now we get to hear from Chovy again. Is Chovy just getting bored of doing interviews now? Like 800 points, 8 interviews that he's done.
He's just gonna keep having them. This is
Oh.
the case.
Maybe that's just like what everyone wants. We just want to chat to Chovy after every GENG game.
I wouldn't mind chatting to other members, but a chat with Chovy's never bad.
I think it's fine. I think the polar bear deserves a look in. I want to like check in on like what else he's been cooking outside of just the Zed jungle. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe there's a jungle can cook a little bit more.
Yeah, perhaps. And it's now time to hear from Chovy, so let's throw it over to the interview.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation, joined by Chovy on the side of GENG. Congratulations. Thank you. Chovy, you're undefeated in all 12 matches so far and with 800 POM points. How impressive. How do you feel? I never expected to get this much POM, but just the fact that our team is on a 12 winning streak makes me very happy. Just like how BNK Fear X back in round 1, they took a game from you guys and almost swept you. And today's match was just as intense. So was there anything that they gave you trouble with? Yeah, I think we were able to. I think thinking about round 1, we did give them the advantage as well, and in game 1 as well today, I think we noticed that the enemy was constantly trying to find an angle to flip the game around, and I think we were just having to really grip onto the advantages that we had so that it doesn't affect us to fall back or anything. So in game 1, you had a solid game with Ari, and in the last team fight, you landed that charm on the Wukong over the wall, and that was so impressive. So walk us through your decision making. I think the first charm that I landed was when he actually cloned, and he was trying to engage into us, and I was like, what the audacity, and I had to just hit my charm on him when he tried to engage on us. And is there any secret to landing your charms? I think you just have to be super focused. Your concentration is everything. And with the recent patch, despite many believing that the game's tempo is a lot slower, both teams took a fast tempo today. So was there a call that fast tempo would benefit you today? Yeah, I think with the patch, it had affected the tempo of the game. I think it really comes down to how much advantage you can take from the laning phase and how much you can do around the map with your jungler. And in game 2, we got Canyon Zed against the enemy Naafiri. And with Zed consistently taking kills, it felt like Zed's scaling was GENG's priority. So was Zed the key point of your comp today? I think Zed against Naafiri is a very viable matchup. And based on each other's, first pick, I think it just felt like both sides of the draft and the comp was kind of unstable. So I think I was just trying to play Galio so that I can definitely sort of stabilize our comp in general, not necessarily to set our setup. And you ended up dealing the most damage in game 2. Yeah, I think it's just because I kept participating and engaging in team fights. That's probably why. And Chovy, apparently a lot of people say that you are a lookalike with Caster Prince. How do you think? Yeah, honestly, Prince is a very good-looking, handsome guy, so it makes me happy to hear something like that.
번의 세트패 없이 연승을 이어나가고 있습니다.
And so far, you are
젠지의
keeping the
행보도
streak in
응원하는
round
팬분들이
2
많으신데요.
without
팬분들
even
응원
dropping a game.
부탁드립니다.
So would you like to say anything to your fans? I think we're keeping up a good showing, and we're going to keep trying and keep putting in
네,
effort to
연승을
continue
이어나가고 있는
our win
젠지의
streak
초비
and
선수입니다. 고트!
provide with a good
지역분이
performance.
등장했는데요. 뜨거운 박수 다시 한번 부탁드립니다. 승리 축하드립니다.
Let's give it up for Chovy, and that's the end of the interview with Chovy, and back to the space. Thank you.